Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. This is your host, Joe Adams. Typically going to be your host from now on. Logan recorded me the last couple times. He did my interviews. But yeah, now we're steady rolling. This is my boy, Steve Crawford. Say what's up.
What's up?
Steve is our first guest since, Logan, sometime last year, right? Yeah, we had a few last year, and then we did the comeback episodes where he interviewed me, and then now we have you. So, yeah, you're the first guest in this new studio.
Happy to be here.
Dude, stoked to have you, man. Yeah, you're the first one at this Relentless Pursuit headquarters, first of many, so we got some more coming up pretty soon. So, Steve, killer dude, man. I want to go ahead and say Steve is... got a pretty inspiring story, very relatable to my story with the accident. For those of you that follow the brand for any time, you should know all about that, although I do talk about it often because it always comes up. But Steve has been through something very similar, and I saw that on Facebook, and I saw that he was also from, Tennessee as well, lives out in Colorado. And so I reached out, and I was like, dude, you've got the mindset. I want you a part of this. So he is one of our athletes as well. Steve, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do now, and then we'll break into the down and dirty. So
right on. So I am living out in Colorado now, using my GI Bill, going to school, just bartending. Aside from that, I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I snowboard as much as I possibly can, and working towards competing in the Paralympics this next Winter Paralympics in Italy, and then also getting ready for a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments right now and just staying as active as I possibly can.
Don't you got a pretty big jiu-jitsu tournament coming up overseas as well, possibly?
I do. November 11th, I'm going over to Abu Dhabi for the Para-Jiu-Jitsu World Championship. So it'll be cool because it'll actually be my first time competing against other athletes with disabilities. Which,
hell yeah.
That'll be groovy. I mean, I love competing against able-body, some two-legged norms. There's nothing like
yeah. And it's something when you, go against some two-legged dudes and you beat them, and you're like, yeah, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
I've got one leg. Check this out. So you do have one leg. I don't know if you can, show it to people or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, dude lost his leg. Check this out. There we go. Yeah, wild as fuck. So we're going to get to that as to why you have acquired the hardware. First, I just want to touch base and basically talk about, for those of you that don't know, Steve was also in a motorcycle wreck, so that contributed to what's going on. But we're going to get to that. First, I want to know about, a little bit about you beforehand. You're from Tennessee. We've spoken about it last night and times before, you went through some addiction stuff and, shit like that. And then obviously, the accident changed a lot of things. So tell us a little bit about that, man. Tell us about your story leading up to that whole situation.
So, I guess I had dealt with addiction before and was clean for a long time. And then I was going through a divorce and custody, dealing with all the custody hearings and everything like that. And it got hard, and I handled it in probably the worst way I possibly could and fell back into using hard drugs. So I was using meth, every single day, 7 days a week. And I was for years up in North Dakota, and I moved to Colorado to kind of get away with it and be near family and stuff. But I was still making terrible choices and using and not, I was working and going to school, but I wasn't really going anywhere with my life. I didn't have any direction, and I didn't have any purpose, So it was crazy because, but the day I got in my motorcycle accident, I used right before I got on my bike, and I was going to meet my dad for lunch. And on the way there, I was riding down this 2-lane road, and this guy in a pickup truck just wasn't paying attention and came and hit me in between a head-on and a T-bone. So a 45-degree angle to me head-on. And I couldn't believe it. My life flashed before my eyes. I knew for sure I was going to die, but he hit me. I held onto the bike. I got thrown a little over 100 feet from my motorcycle.
Damn it, motherfucker. You beat me. I flew 90 feet. You got an extra 10 feet on me.
So, yeah, and that's something like I actually like haven't even like really, I'm sure my family knew I was using like when I was living in Colorado, but it's something that like I haven't even really, like I've talked with my sister about it and stuff, and I'm sure everyone knew, you know, but I mean, it was crazy because that was the last time I used.
That is nuts. I mean, talk about a fucking change, because that stuff will kill you eventually. You know what I'm saying? And like, much like me, so sorry. Bad about the mic, man. I gotta get better at this shit. But me, you know, when I went through my addictive phase, it was always like pills. Mm-hmm. You know, that I just wanted to be a zombie, just was kind of an escape. But you went the totally opposite route. You were like stemmed out like crazy all the time. Just, I mean, hell, at least you could get going. You know what I'm saying? On pills, you're just kind of like,
yeah, it was
laid out pretty much. But
addiction's real, dude. Like in me, it was the only thing that like I was using meth to, because when you like use meth, you just kind of, it's like super focused to whatever you're gonna do, you know. And it was like that's what I used to.
But not sleeping for days and shit.
Oh God, yeah, and it was terrible.
See, the opposite. I slept a lot, you know. I was always bumming. But anyways, that's pretty fucking wild, man. So you were definitely a user. You were going through a lot of heavy shit, obviously. And, you know, a lot of times, man, that's what kind of contributes to the use of those things, the hard drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just life in general. And that's how people cope with it, man. They find something else external that'll help relieve them of that in some fashion. And we all have our, you know, vices. I mean, people smoke a lot just to deal with it, you know, like there's lighter things, but it's still pretty damaging. But yeah, man, so that was your escape in order to like kind of get through everything you were going through, man. And then you used and you got nailed on a motorcycle. So I was sober when I was on my bike, right? You know, thankfully. But still, man, and then that's when everything changed. So you got in your wreck, like what all happened?
So yeah, I was riding down the road. The dude hit me head on. I flew from my bike. Well, when he hit me, it pinned my left leg, you know, right below my knee, in between my motorcycle and the pickup truck. And when I flew, and it was just like so bizarre because like going back to where the accident was, there's like a sidewalk, and then there's like maybe 10 feet of grass, and then there's like a row of trees, and there's like a light pole. So I mean, I miraculously landed on just the grass. Didn't hit a tree or anything like that. Didn't have any road rash, but it crushed my leg, broke a bone in my hand, and then I had like a few scrapes and cuts and stuff, you know. So it was crazy too, because my dad actually like showed up on the scene and was like, holy, because I was like a mile away from the restaurant I was meeting him at, and this lady that came and found my phone, called him, so he came and stuff. But yeah, so they took me to the hospital, put me into surgery right away. I woke up and had external stabilizers and like had a cast on my hand and everything, and a wound vac and all that. So had a few surgeries. That first like week and a half I was at the hospital, and everything, you know, was like looking pretty good. My first ortho surgeon actually told me, he's like, you know, like if everything goes well, you might be on the snowboard by the end of the season, you know. And it was October when I had my accident, so I was extremely hopeful. But as time went on, it was like, when they first discharged me from the hospital, they didn't really explain to me that I had to get my wounds or the dressings changed and stuff. I'd never had to worry or learn about wound care before.
Yeah.
So I had my first ortho appointment like 3 weeks after my accident. So I, you know, waited. I'd go in 3 weeks, and then we unwrap it, and it was necrotic, you know, like the flesh was like black and stuff.
Oh,
and
dude, that's rough.
Dude, it was.
I bet it freaked you the hell out too, seeing that.
Dude, I freaked out. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's been in a bandage, it's healing, not knowing that it should have been being changed every like 2 to 3 days.
Fuck.
So then I started going to wound care. Like,
was it hurting and shit too? Like when it was bandaged, did you even feel anything or what?
I mean, there was so much pain. I wouldn't have known one pain from the other.
Of course.
So yeah, so then I started going to wound care, doing hyperbaric chamber dives 5 days a week, and they were debriding it 3 days a week. And also, like the first week after I got out, I had a blood clot. So I went in, I felt that did hurt, a little bit more. So I went in, got that taken care of. They put me on blood thinners and everything. So I'm still doing this wound care process, months and months. And they had put a rod in my leg, and my bone was starting to heal, but it was the flesh on top was still like a little necrotic. Like I could see my bone through my leg when they took the wound back off. Like there was a hole directly to my bone. I could see it. It was gross, but
that's gnarly.
So it had finally, like I went from a wheelchair to a walker to eventually crutches. And then I was even walking with a cane and walking without a cane for about like 2 or 3 weeks. And out of nowhere, my leg just started hurting, like excruciating. And I was like, well, I have a fucking blood clot again. Like, oh man. So I go to the hospital, no blood clot. They send me home. And I'm like, all right. So the next day, it's like excruciating pain. So I go back in. No blood clot. They sent me back home. So the third day it was hurting. I took a nap just because I was in pain, and I woke up and just had the chills. And as soon as I had the chill, like woke up, I knew I was like, I'm septic right now. So the infection that I didn't even know I had was in my bloodstream because there's no signs on the outside of infection. It was closed up. I was walking on it and stuff. So then I go to the hospital on that third day after waking up, and they do blood work and stuff, and they're like, yep, you do have an infection. And then they took an MRI of my leg, and it looked like termites had eaten my tibia from the inside out.
Jesus.
Like there was nothing left. It was so gross. Fuck, so so that
sick.
It was gross.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I'm just visualizing it. I'm like, holy shit, man. That's imagine like it, and it's not like it's somebody else, you're seeing it in a picture. You're looking at yourself like, man, my shit's rotting out, dude.
So then they put me into, and this is during COVID too. So the first time I'm in the hospital for like a week and a half during COVID. So that was like the most painful part of it all, having that infection. And then the nurses were fucking up my IVs. And also too, I was like dehydrated and had been on all this medication. So my veins probably weren't the best, and especially after years of abusing them too.
Yeah. They've been a little worked out.
So yeah, like they were leaving me for like hours without any pain. All I had was the drip, no oral pain meds. But then there was like 3 different times I was left with no pain meds for like 6-7 hours, and it was rough. So anywho, I had the infection in my bone. They put me into emergency surgery. They cut out like 7.5 inches of my tibia, and they had to take the old rod out and put a new like rod that was coated with antibiotics in it. And then,
so they had put a rod in there initially.
Yep. And
I know when you have an infection with metal in you, it's like 10 times worse. Because that's what they were worried about with me, is because I have like fucking metal in my right knee, and then I got the rod going through my femur. That's one thing they were constantly, because I had something stabbed me like right below my nutsack, like deep, man. We don't know what it was, but something pierced my leg. I don't know if it was a piece of metal. I don't know what the fuck it was from, but it was so deep. Like I got like a crater in my groin. And, but they were changing that shit constantly, and it sucked because every time they ripped the bandage off, they were ripping like my nut hairs off too. So that was pretty painful. And it was like every couple times every day, but they were like, man, this can't get infected. I mean, or you're going to have some big issues, so anyways, so they had the rod, they had to put a new one, you said?
Yep. So they cut the other one out. They cut like 7.5 inches of my tibia out, and there wasn't enough muscle or skin to pull it closed. And my ortho surgeons wanted me to keep my leg. They were telling me, like you can regrow your tibia. It'll be, like 2 to 3 years of more surgeries. This is after they already told me I was out of the woods for infection initially. And then that happened, so they told me 50-50 chance. And, I had a really good a general surgeon. He like ran the wound clinic I went to, and I've gotten pretty close with all these guys because I saw him, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And he kind of told me, he's like, Stevie, like if they could grow back 7 inches of tibia, like functional tibia, he's like, I think I would know about it. And that like was the one thing that made sense to me. Like all these doctors are saying all this other shit, and I just heard 2 to 3 years, 50-50 chance. And the thought of having a leg that's not functional, what was the point?
Well, that's crazy too, because it's always like that one doctor. There's so many doctors out there, and I'm not dumbing down any of them. Like, it takes some time and effort and education in order to be a fucking doctor.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of them just aren't as knowledgeable in certain areas. You know what I'm saying? And you take that one that's like, nah, man, like we're going to look into this a little deeper because they know what the fuck's going on. Mm-hmm. And you got to be grateful for that, because he could have told you the same shit everybody else is. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I understand that it's their job to salvage things, but he kind of was like, like my quality of life, and like I have still like my quality of life is much better. Like I would still be going through surgeries right now if I would have chose to save my leg.
when was your accident?
October of 2019.
October 16th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, dude. And so my wreck was October 18th, 2018. So, like, something about October's, man. I've been through some heavy shit in the month of October, like, every year. I don't know why. This year is going to be great.
Yes,
but,
sir.
you know what I'm saying? I'm manifesting that. But it's just kind of crazy that, a year apart, but essentially exact same time. It's pretty wild.
That is wild. And I knew they were close, but I didn't realize how close they were until I posted my like anniversary, and then literally, 2 days later, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like,
yeah, like Joe's anniversary's here too. Let's fucking get together. Yeah, man, it's wild. So, you said you'd still be doing surgeries if you would have followed through with that. So, what was the next step?
So, the next step, if I wanted to keep my leg, I would have had to set up an appointment for a plastic surgeon to do like a muscle flap and do it closed. Because for that there's like a month and a half after I got out of the hospital before I got my leg amputated. And it was so, like, you know what a wound vac is and stuff, right?
I think so.
Like they put a sponge and they put like this dressing over it that's airtight and it just sucks the fluid out.
Yeah.
Sounds like a little fucking cappuccino maker on
Oh,
you.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's crazy.
So I had this huge wound on my leg. I'll show you a picture here in a bit. And you could see that whole rod. And it was, so every time, like you were talking about pulling shit off, it was like they'd fill it with this sponge. I mean, it was like huge, like this big.
Yeah.
And they put it on a sponge and put it on a vacuum on like my bare muscle and stuff. So when they would take it, like it was sucking on there for a few days and it would suck the muscle like into the little holes. So it essentially turned my muscle into Velcro with a sponge. So every time they'd pull it off, it was the worst fucking
Dude,
thing.
that's right. That's gnarly as shit, man. Like I'm a visual person. I imagine some wild shit in my life anyways. So like just picturing that, I'm like, dude, that's insane.
It was brutal. But my Dr. Pataki, and I had a lot of great surgeons, a lot of good people on my like everyone that helped me was amazing. And I got really close like with all my surgeons and wound care physicians and
That's good.
Physical therapy, all of them. I love them and have so much respect for all of them. So he kind of told me that, and I as soon as he told me that, I was like, I'm gonna amputate my leg. Like I made up my mind like that. I was like, I didn't want to keep something that's gonna hold me back or that I'm not gonna be able to use. So I remember like my dad picked me up from the hospital, and I was like very lucky because through this whole process, I was it's crazy going from like being like a drug addict and no purpose in life and stuff like that, when I woke up from my accident, backtracking a bit, but when I woke up, I remember just like bawling, crying, because like when that truck hit me and I was going towards the curb, I knew that I was gonna die. I remember like as soon as he hit me, I was like, fuck, like this is where I die.
Same thing. When I saw that car, I was like, fuck, and this is, it's crazy, man. You're like at the veil, you're like, this is it, man.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing to kind of wrap your mind around, especially in like a split second.
Oh man. So I remember waking, because I didn't lose consciousness and everything. It was pretty gnarly, but I remember waking up from the first surgery and I just like broke down because I couldn't believe that I was alive. Like, I mean, it was almost like why, like how, just a lot of questions and stuff. But then when I woke up from that first surgery was then it just flipped this switch. Like I've had a lot of ups and downs in life. I've accomplished a lot, and I've also like lost a lot and just being a shithead and stuff. And it was the first time I was like, I'm not gonna waste this second chance,
Dude.
I had no idea how much further how much more it would evolve into,
Dude, I mean, we talk about this all the time, and I tell a lot of people about you and your story, and I'm just proud as fuck of it, man. I'm like, dude, this guy is gnarly, but like, it's not only because you're doing so much from that and you've got that mentality, but like we share that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's always going to be a bond we share because we've been in such a similar situation, and we've woken up where we've been fortunate enough to wake up from something like that and be like, well, fuck, man, like I'm alive. I should not fucking be alive. But here we are, we get to tackle life. And we both, since that day on, have been just guns blazing.
Oh yeah.
In every way, firing at all cylinders. So it's like something I think is really dope that we share that, thing together. But we got a little cut off real quick, but we'll get back to it. We'll pick up right there. Taking dumps, man. Taking dumps, taking names. All right, what's up, everybody? This is the ad read. Real quick, Relentless Pursuit is our #1 sponsor. Why? Because that's what we are. Relentless Pursuit, baby. Relentless Pursuit, lifestyle.com, Relentless_Pursuit on Instagram, and Relentless Pursuit headquarters on Instagram as well. It's a lifestyle brand. It applies to everything. It's not about fitness. It is about fitness, but it's about everything across the board. Fitness, spiritual pursuits, whatever your pursuits are, pursue it relentlessly. Life is short. It is precious. Myself and Steve are prime examples of that, and we've been through things that, we almost didn't make it till, how old are you?
33.
We almost didn't make it till like 30. We were like died around 30 pretty much. So every day's a blessing, baby. So follow Relentless Pursuit, check it out, wear that flag, and represent.
Amen.
Amen, dude. All right, Steve, so I was talking about how, we'll touch base more on like the, being grateful aspect and just like using these situations and coming out of them in a very positive light. But you were talking about, this is right before the amputation, correct?
Yep. So, my general surgeon kind of gave me that talk, and it made sense to me. So I decided I was going to have my leg amputated. So, I wanted to do it right away. I kind of wish they would have done it, just done it. But I understand they had to ask me and everything. So I had to wait like a month and a half, and I was ready, man. I was ready to start healing, to start getting back to my life, to start getting back to, my new version of normal.
Of course.
So, it was pretty, so and up to this point, I literally had done everything I could do to help the healing process. I was leaving it elevated all the time. Like I was doing all the PT, doing all the things right that I knew how to do, like watching my diet, eating protein, getting good rest.
What's a hard pill to swallow? Like, man, I might possibly lose my leg.
Yeah.
So you're like, how do I prevent that shit? You know what I'm saying? So you're going to do everything you need to do.
So, but it was crazy though, because when it finally came, I was ready, and I'm very, very fortunate. A lot of people that wake up and they're losing a limb, I can't imagine, I can't fathom or even perceive that. Like me, I had all this time, and it was this part of my body that was useless and holding me back, So I'm very fortunate. I know a lot of other amputees out there struggle with stuff like that and with the depression. I was very, very fortunate. For the most part, I was stoked. I was ready. So I made the decision, had to wait about a month and a half. They did the amputation on a Thursday, I believe. And I think I got released from the hospital the next Friday. And then Saturday, I was driving to town at the skate park on on my skateboard with crutches, and I had this little like stump shield is what they called it.
Hell yeah. So I think, didn't you post a video of that or something?
I did. The first picture I took for Relentless Pursuit was me skateboarding with one leg on, using my crutches.
Yeah, I remember that. That was dope.
Oh man. So
I was like, hell yeah, this guy's about it.
But yeah, so and then from there it was just I had my leg amputated, got my prosthetic leg, got in a prosthetic super fast. Like they amputated it April 30th of 2020, and I got my first prosthetic on my 31st birthday, June 24th. So like the dopest birthday present I ever got, I guess, besides getting to be born.
Yeah. Yeah, you got life, which is a pretty big blessing in itself. So
and then I went up to North Dakota to go see my son. And I got to take a sec to say like how we were talking before about addiction and everything like that. And the accident, I was being a bad father, a bad son, a bad brother, I just wasn't being a good, in any relationship, I wasn't like putting in my part. And
yeah, but because I can relate, because I've been there, like you just sucked.
Yep.
You sucked for everybody else. Like I've been there, man. Like you get in that loop and you're like, man, I'm a shitty person. Like I'm no good for anybody around me. And that's what you got to tell yourself. Like, man, I fucking suck. Mm-hmm. And you get it.
Yep.
So
the accident, it definitely like since waking up and stuff, I've been stoked and stuff this whole time. And then, got my leg. I went up to go see my son in North Dakota and see some old friends that I hadn't seen in a while. And one of my best friends, Morgan Mayer Young, it's like a brother to me and reminds me of you big time.
Oh, yeah.
But he showed me this video.
Motherfucker.
He showed me this video of Nick Lavery, which is this, he's a Green Beret warrant officer and lost his leg above the knee and got back to operational status and has done, I think he's on his I think he's deployed right now on his 5th deployment, still a Green Beret warrant officer, above the knee amputee. And I was like, he had this video talking about the warrior ethos.
Wait, so he's still in?
Yeah,
he's doing shit?
He's still getting deployed.
Wow, I didn't even know that was possible. I thought they would be like, all right, dude, you're out of commission.
Nope.
That's gnarly.
So I watched his one of his TED Talks, and that was just like I already was like, you know, doing these things and making progress. But I watched his video, and I was like, holy fuck! I was like, I want to be just a badass one-legged motherfucker, you know? Like,
Nick, we gotta get you on here one of these days, man.
So that was another thing that just like lit a fire under my ass, and then I started lifting, you know, like almost as soon as like probably I think like maybe like not even 2 weeks after I got my prosthetic leg, I was in the gym lifting weights. I was like, I need to get back to, you know, being healthy, because I definitely lived like was active and lifted weights and did things a lot about my health when I was younger. But, you know, over the years and doing drugs, I was just snowboarding or skateboarding and being a little junkie, you know?
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool, man. I started lifting weights right away. Bought a bicycle, started cycling like 13 days after I got a prosthetic. Within a month, I was doing like 20, 25-mile rides, you know? And that's what helped me get back to walking so fast, you know? I did like all my own rehab and PT, because I asked my prosthetist, I was like, what's the best, do I need to do PT? How do I learn how to walk again? She's like, put your fucking leg on and walk.
Yeah, I mean, that's plain and simple, right?
So
it's really important to, like, you know, when you do go through these things, a lot of people don't take the recovery part seriously. You know, I have a cousin that like broke his back in an accident, you know what I'm saying? And he just didn't really participate in the PT, and he was like, fuck, I really regret not participating in that, you know what I'm saying? But like, that stuff can be extremely valuable moving forward. I mean, I was going to PT like 3 times a week, man. I mean, yes, it was so painful, I was in tears, you know, most of the time. But, you know, how much it benefited me is like tremendous. So I'm very grateful that I actually did the right fucking thing.
Oh yeah, it's crucial.
But yeah, so you were saying you were doing shit, you were walking, you were lifting, all that good stuff.
Doing that, and my goal was, like, from the get-go, was to just get back on a snowboard. Like, snowboarding is a huge part of my life, and
I'm gonna go with you one day.
Yes, sir. So the goal is to get back on a snowboard. So they amputated April 30th, and I was back on a snowboard in early or mid-January, right after that, which was my goal. And then I was like, you know, back to deadlifting over 315, like 6.5 months after amputation too.
Nice. That's fucking dope. Yeah.
Pretty cool. So yeah, when I got the prosthetic, I just, you know, like what I would think, you know, and like, I guess like what a lot of other people would perceive is like, you know, like maybe not realistic, or they just don't, you know, like I wanted to do things that I didn't think I could, or people didn't, you know, like amputees normally don't do. I wanted to show people you can do it with, you know, one leg or one arm, and, you know, like no matter your disability. I mean, some things are obviously going to like prevent you from doing things.
Yeah.
But you can still find a way to do the things you love regardless, you know?
It's like we were talking about last night. You know, we're sitting out the back of the house, smoking a little bit, just bullshitting. And we talked about the pros and cons of, like, you know, with our accidents, right? Like, I still have my limbs, but I've got all these fucking issues that I got to deal with. I had to get knee surgery recently, and it's just like I'm getting injections in them, you know, to try to like maintain and keep from being jacked up. You know, you lost your leg. I think it's all just a matter of perspective too. Like, all right, you got this situation in front of you. How are you going to look at it? Like, obviously we both want to, like, you know, be hard chargers and take on everything. Like, I can relate to you as far as wanting to do more. Mm-hmm. Like, ever since the accident, like, I want to, you know, I always stayed pretty active and did a lot of shit, but I want to do more than I ever could in life, like, even with limitations. You know what I'm saying? And you're a prime example of that. You're like, all right, I'm going to show the world what's up.
Oh, yeah. And two, it's definitely relative, you know? Like, to me, I feel like you have it, you know, like dealing with pain and surgeries and stuff is like you know, I'm very fortunate that I don't have like phantom pain, not dealing with, you know, like pain and surgeries and stuff. And I feel like it's relative. And I mean, it is cool that, like, I mean, the adaptive community is getting a lot more light and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, I'm a human too, and you're dealing with more pain than I am and stuff too, you know? So yeah, it is all relative, you know?
All relative. Sometimes I'm just like, man, cut it off, you know? Steve's doing it. Just cut this fucking thing off, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm taking all the measures I can. I definitely push it, but I'm taking every measure I can in order to, you know, adapt to what I've got to deal with and shit. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's all relative. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of perspective, you know, and you're just going to suck it up and move forward, or you're just going to like lay down and mope around. So
that's not the way.
It's not the fucking way. Yeah, a lot of people do it, man, and they fall into that trap, and it's very unfortunate. I've met so many people that have like, man, you've really inspired me with your story, and I'm sure you've gotten the same thing. You know, I met people like, man, after I went through something, broke my back or whatever in a car wreck, and you know, I just got on pills and got depressed for like 3 years. I've gained all this weight, and now I'm trying to reverse it. I've heard your story, and it's very fucking, it's dope. Like, you've given me hope. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you get that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that's so gratifying. It's also fills you with purpose.
It making a difference in like, because I know some people that are weird about it and stuff, and like don't like the recognition or like the attaboy. But for me, I'm like, dude, if you're like encouraging other people, inspiring other people to be a better version of themselves, like that's like that is definitely one of the missions I feel like of my life, like this opportunity I've been given to.
That's what Relentless Pursuit's all about.
Yes, sir.
Is inspiring others to be the best versions of themselves, like regardless of limitations, or if they don't have any limitations, just be better. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it's all about, and just inspiring individuals. And I love it, man. Like I don't know, that to me is the most gratifying aspect of what this is all about, you know, is when a stranger reaches out and be like, hey, by the way, I've taken what you said and I've applied it to my life. I have for so long, and I just want you to know that. It's like, fuck, man, like I'm doing it. Like this is all that matters. You know what I'm saying? So it's really freaking cool, man.
It's been sick too, like watching like my mom and dad, and then even my sister like has been exercising. My aunt has like completely turned her health around, and it's been cool, man. Like seeing, and then even some of my other friends too, just like seeing them push themselves just a little bit harder, you know.
Yeah, I've had my parents tell me they do the Ironmans and stuff, and they've had a couple races where they're just like, I'm over this, you know. And I can imagine doing a Ironman, you're like dying.
That's brutal.
But even my mom or my dad, they've been like, you know, they think about me. They get to that run and they're just like trugging along. They just want to drop out, and they're just like, man, but Joe, like, look what he's been through, and he got through it, and that pushes them. And I'm like, to me, that's massive, man. Like, in order to inspire my parents that way, because a lot of people can't even get their mom or dad to say they're proud of them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Much less like you inspire them to a whole other degree to actually push their limits, you know, and be a part of what you're doing. So it's really freaking cool, man. I love that shit. So, but.
He used the word opportunity about having his leg amputated. You know what I mean? He said, what an opportunity. I mean,
that's a good point. It wasn't.
They can't hear what I said.
Emphasize that a little bit. So you're saying, so let's backtrack. Well, you're saying that having your leg amputated was an opportunity.
It was it was.
How can you like, I guess, word that for people? Because most people be like, how is that a fucking opportunity? Like, you know what I'm saying?
So I guess for me, it was an opportunity to, like after I watched that video of Nick and stuff like that, and I realized that's like, man, like you can't make excuses, you know, like when you're the one that's like waking up early, training when you don't want to train. Yeah, I got a little sidetracked, but
dude, it's my life.
When I had my leg amputated and I started being active again, I realized that I had this opportunity to, you know, encourage other people to, you know, not make excuses. Cause I feel like that's like one of the biggest downfalls of our generation, or just like really anyone. It's just so easy to make excuses these days, you know?
Extremely easy.
So, yeah, it was a cool opportunity to show people that, don't make excuses, you know, don't be a pussy.
Look at me, look at this shit. And it's not like you're holding it over their head.
No, not at all.
But you do it from the standpoint to inspire, you know, like don't limit yourself.
Yep.
I hear excuses all the time from random people. I'll never forget, I was at a powerlifting meet watching an athlete do his thing. And, you know, it's just a pretty long day. And I was sitting there, and this guy, he's probably in his 50s, and his son was competing. And I was like, oh, you going to get out there one day? He's like, oh, I'm too old for that. And then not even a split fucking second later, this lady in her 70s comes walking by in like a singlet. You know, she's about to get up there. And like, he saw her and looked at me, and I looked at him, and he immediately looked away. And I just and like, it wasn't my place, but I want to be like, dude, see, like, this lady's still fucking making it happen. She's not making excuses based off age or whatever. Like, a lot of people use age as an excuse. And I think we might have talked about this yesterday. I've talked about it a lot of times recently. Age is a blessing, man. Like, people are like, oh, man, I'm turning 40. Don't remind me. I'm turning 30. It's like, you get to turn that age.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't make it there, man. Like, I turned fucking 34, 35, 36. Like, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, I made it to this. Let's keep on rolling, baby. Like, every year thereafter, I look at it as like, man, I made it this far. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people look at it as like this daunting thing. Like, oh, man, woe is me. I'm getting old. I'm falling apart. Like, you don't have to fucking do that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Oh.
I was just going to say because they're scared to die. And you guys have faced it.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. What do you think about death? Like, death? Does it freak you out?
I mean,
what's your perspective on it? Because it's something I think about all the time.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
I think it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I mean, it's like, I don't fear. I mean, I understand it's going to happen. After like being that close, looking it in the eyes and stuff, I don't know. That's why I live my best life and trying my best to live a life that I'm going to be proud to have lived, you know? And that's all you can do in preparation for death is just live a life worth living. Like, live a life you're proud to have lived.
It's an analogy. I go back on, did this writing, and I spoke about like making your life a movie. Like, pick your favorite movie. And because like when you get to the end of the road and it's that time, right? And you're about to put this movie in of your life. Are you going to fucking fall asleep within the first 5 minutes? Or are you going to like be like, holy shit, I'm hooked on this. I'm going to keep watching this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's like, I don't know. My perfect example is Lord of the Rings. I fucking love Lord of the Rings. I can watch it every day, all the way through, all of them. But I'm like, I want my life to be that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's not like, I guess if you look at it from like a weird standpoint, there are orcs and shit out there. But what I'm saying is that I want to like look back on my life and be like, man, that was an epic fucking journey. And I'm proud that I have like every single aspect of it, all the ups, all the downs. It was all necessary, and it was beautiful, and it was fucking epic. You know, how many people are going to sit there and look back and be like, man, nothing but regret.
Mm-hmm. Should have done this.
Or I wasted so much. And that's just like the fucking worst. I think that's one thing that irks me, you know, and that's a message I try to relay with the brand is realize your potential. You know, not everybody has to fucking start their own business or do this or that. Like, we need people to do certain careers or jobs or whatever, but there's so many ways to be great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I feel like just by getting up and doing my morning routine of meditation and cello practice and stuff, like, that's all comes together and pushes towards greatness. You know what I'm saying? It's just little steps like that people can add into their life to be better.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. Pretty fucking cool, but God, we got sidetracked as hell. But I love when we do, because it's always some like good, solid points to be made. So you got your leg amputated, and you're getting into deadlifts, you're skateboarding, you're back at snowboarding.
Yep. And then a good friend, Kendra Pearson, and she keeps up with us and stuff too, with the Relentless Pursuit quite a bit. She's the one that's always tagging.
Oh yeah, Kendra, yeah, red hair.
Yep.
Kendra seems cool, man. We need to like get her on more stuff, and yeah, she seans pretty solid.
So,
yes. Yeah, she's been tagging stuff for a long time. I remember when you first got sponsored, you ordered like so many like rash guards for your gym. I was like, dude, this guy put in a massive order, like dropped so much money on rash guards. I was like, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure you just like tossed them out to everybody at your gym.
Yep.
That's dope, dude.
Everyone that wears them, they say it's like their favorite rash guard they've ever worn. It is buttery smooth.
So keep that in mind. This is an ad read. Our rash guards are the buttery smooth, baby. You're gonna be rolling better than everybody around. So all of my jiu-jitsu guys or anybody that's in martial arts, take note.
Yep. Dope rash guards.
Hell yeah. We're coming out with some more.
I can't wait. So Kendra was working out at the same gym I went to, and she's like me, very outgoing, very talkative, and we just got to talk, and I met her and her husband there at the Lifetime Gym in Colorado, and I'd been wanting to do something because I'd been lifting, put on a lot of muscle, but from being laid up so long and not doing much cardio, I'd gotten, definitely really chunky.
A little thicker.
Oh, yeah. I was thick, boy.
Happens, man, happens.
So, I found out she was like a world champ, jiu-jitsu, like IBJJF, purple belt, like masters world champ or whatever. And
That's
so
dope.
she talked to me. She's like, you should come try it out. And I was like, all right, cool. So my buddy, Mike McCann, he's one of the coaches, and like, she gave me his number to hit him up, and I hit him up, and turns out like we knew each other from a mutual friend. So I joined the gym I go to now, and just after the first class, I just fell in love with jiu-jitsu. And a lot of people are intimidated by going in there and getting worked over, but when you go in and, I was like 195 pounds and just pretty yoked when I started, and these 120-pound women were tying me in a pretzel, like made me realize it's like, I want to do this. Like I'm like this like little baby that is like unable to defend myself, and I like rolled with them, and it made me realize I was like, this is sick. Like
It's humbling.
oh, it's super humbling.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. I was going to say real quick, because when I was doing jiu-jitsu at Phoenix up in Hermitage, I think they're in Mount Juliet now, but the black belt Corey, he used to, I don't know how much he weighs, probably a good 80 pounds less than I do. And I'd be like, all right, dude, I'm stout. And I go rolling with this dude, and I'm like, why can't I get him the fuck off of me? Like, this is stressing me out way too much. But then you realize, like, man, like, it's an art, bro. I mean, you got to, like, really know what you're doing. And he'd school me every time, man. And I appreciated it, I thought it was really cool. And I'd like to be humbled, It definitely makes you reanalyze things. Now I stick strictly to boxing, but. So, yeah, you got into jiu-jitsu. They got you introduced to all that. So
fell in love right away. Did my first competition after training for like 3 months. Lost all my matches but one, And I'm still, figuring out my game because I have my entire game for the most part is modified.
yeah.
But it's a journey, and I love it.
What's your journey, man? I mean, not a lot of people out there like with doing it with one leg too. So it's probably a huge difference.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that's what you know now.
Oh yeah.
So it's natural to you.
And I'm excited too, because especially when I compete, because last year I started competing in bank slalom snowboard races, and then also the jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff. And I have yet to compete with an adaptive athlete, like an athlete with a disability, which has been pretty cool because the people I train with all the time, they like get it, they know and stuff. But when I go to tournaments now, like have someone in my closed guard, and they reach for the foot that's not there a lot. So
Dude, that's actually got to be good because they're just doing like a misfire, and you're like, oh.
And that opens it up. They move their posture, and
You're like, oh, fuck, you screwed up now. Went after the phantom leg. You can't get this, baby.
That's a special move.
Dude, hell yeah. Like, that's just in your arsenal. You didn't even mean to. That's cool.
so
It works out then.
Oh, I love it.
So that's badass, dude. So, long story short, fucking had a hell of a road prior to your wreck.
Yep.
A lot of lows there, it seems like, which I feel you there. You had your accident. It was a blessing.
Blessing.
And it's been nothing but like, all cylinders firing, like moving up the mountain since then.
Mm-hmm. There was a little, I do want to like talk about, I was very fortunate to not really have to deal with depression and stuff like that. And right when I came back to work after I lost my leg, I worked at a skate shop for several years, BC Surf and Sport, and it was one of the dopest jobs I've ever had in my life. But I came back and I couldn't do a lot of the things. I couldn't like stand for as long and like grip as many skateboards. And I was like helping in the warehouse, and I was getting, I got depressed, and it was the first time I had felt like depression going through this whole journey. And this is like, like a few months after I got was in a prosthetic, and I had been so happy and positive for so long that when I got depressed, I like got more depressed because I was like upset at myself for being bummed out, and I had to realize and step back and, also understand that it's okay to, you are going to have ups and downs and stuff like that. But in your downs, you just have to, reflect and like, everyone's going to deal with their own like dwelling or whatever like that. But I mean, I had to definitely learn that it's okay to be bummed, and just, you have to ride it out and do whatever you can to, get stoked again.
Yeah. I mean, I think, dude, well, it's funny. It's interesting you talk about that. Because, you know, I spoke about like after my last relationship and like I moved down here, I was going through a pretty like constantly just, I was in the mud, man. Tires were spinning, but I was in the mud. I wasn't going anywhere. I got depressed, man. And I think it's just because it was all such a heavy situation, like just financially, on my heart, everything, mentally, just so many things weighing. And then like, you know, I've got this brand, which takes creativity, you know, effort, time, you know, it's supposed to be inspiring, right? So supposed to be excited about it and everything. And I'm like, man, how the fuck can I contribute any of that to that? Because I'm so down. You know what I'm saying? And I talked to you about last night about a couple people that, you know, that now it's insignificant, but it bothered me at first. They're like, oh, you've lost people. Like people are wondering what's going on with RP. And it's just like, dude, just because like I've always had this, you've known me since my accident, right? So I'm been very positive from that. And like, oh, I've always been positive about this and that, this and that. I think people build that expectation. It's almost like they think you're immune to being depressed.
Yeah. And
you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, he's good from this. Like nothing's going to bother him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's almost as if you're not allowed to go through those phases.
And that's what I thought about myself is like, I thought.
Same here.
It's like, yeah.
I was like, man, I can't be depressed. I got shit to do. You know, like if people may see this, you know, you worry about what people think. Like I can't allow myself to be low. Mm-hmm. But then you just got to embrace it, man. And you're like, you got to I think the biggest thing is recognizing it and being like, wait, I am in a shitty situation mentally, you know, and I need to, and that's okay, but I need to work on it. And I think it's about being proactive and actually working on those things. You know, I don't know if you did therapy or anything. I did.
My own form. I mean, like I, you know, have some people I talk to and stuff. And, you know, I talked to those people, confided in them, and they were kind of the ones that let me know that it's okay. You know, like you don't, in my mind, I thought I had to just be this like shining beacon of like positivity and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So,
cause like that's what people expect from you.
Yep. And that's
you
what I
build that up.
And I expected that of myself. So learning that it's like, you know, we're all human. We're all going to have ups and downs. And then, you know, like when you have those downs, you deal with them, you know, you take your mental health seriously, you know?
Yeah.
And that's,
you just got to like, but you got to be proactive towards it rather
Yes,
than
sir.
just spiral downhill. I mean, my way of fixing it was, you know, some psychedelic trips for sure. I think that's just like some of the best medicine possible, you know, and I had some friends that were extremely supportive and like my family and stuff like that, you know, and they just totally got it. But then, you know, the grand scheme, like a lot of people are like, what the fuck's going on? Mm-hmm. Something's going on, man. And I can't really like express it to you guys right now. I'm just trying to work on my shit. And I went to a therapist and that helped a lot too. So, but yeah, that's an important thing, man. I mean, none of us are immune to these things. And a lot of people still want to think they are. And they don't even want to believe in like depression or anxiety or any like mental health issues, but they're real, man.
100%.
And they weigh heavy and they can screw you up. They can totally throw you off the rails, even more so than this physical damage.
Oh yeah.
Because I think about it, you know, the wreck was such a significant, tragic thing. And it just hit hard, like out of nowhere, right? It's like split second, boom, your life changed forever. And you come out of that super positive, like, hell yeah, look at me, I'm rocking and rolling, baby, we're doing our thing. And then you go through something like a hard breakup or whatever, and that's what tears you down. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, wait, what's going on? You know, like I'm not supposed to be struggling right now. So you get what I'm saying?
I gotta say a note on that. Like, I had to explain to someone before when they talk about like how traumatic my thing was and stuff like that. And they're like, oh my God, you know, like that's like I'm big into like everything's relative, you know, like for a lot of people don't understand. Like, so someone that's, you know, they could be 25 years old or whatever. And like just have been blessed and fortunate that they haven't had that many, you know, things go wrong. So like someone's parents getting divorced, they find out their parents get divorced. I had a friend, he was 25 and was super bummed. And then one of our other buddies is like, dude, like people's parents get divorced all the time and stuff. But like, he didn't realize, I'm like, dude, that's like literally the most emotionally painful thing he's experienced, you know? So for him, relative to, you know, like emotional pain is relative, you know, you should never say one thing is worse than another. Cause like if it's the worst thing, it's going to hurt just as bad as someone else's, you know, like someone losing someone or something, you know.
Dude, matters of the heart are the most painful, I believe. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
You told me one time that you'd almost rather go
Oh yeah, there was a point where I was like,
You said that to me.
yeah, I told him, I was like, man, like, when I was going through that whole thing and like I was just like here and felt very alone, which I wasn't technically, but in my mind I was just like, man, I'd much rather just go back and get hit by a fucking car. That's how like hard it was on me because I didn't know how to cope with the whole situation. So I think it's just kind of crazy to think about. Like, why, most people be like, why the fuck would you want to get hit by a car again? But I handled that better. That was almost, I hate to say it, but like easier for me to work through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like natural. But like the other stuff is like, nope. And I do want to do an episode one day where we talk about like relationships and divorce and stuff because like I've analyzed that a lot this past year and especially half year and just, fuck man, people settle too in life. They settle for on all accounts, especially in relationships, and like my girlfriend now, like she's shown me that like, God, this is what I'd have been missing out on, had, anything in the past grasped me. So yeah, man, but that's like a whole other ball game. Like I think that's something very valuable for people. But anyway, so how long do we got?
You're over an hour though.
Okay.
Take a little.
Yeah, we'll take a second. Back at it. Got a little chilly, so I had to throw the hoodie on. I keep it cold in this building, man. I think it's like 67 all the time.
Love it.
It's best most of the time, especially when it's like, I think it's like 99 degrees out today. It's getting to 99. Like, I'm over it. Winter time, where you at, baby? Woo! Come on. Yeah, cool me down. So we talked about shit. We talked about Steve's story before the accident, after, things that related to it. And I think we touched base on a lot of good stuff. So for those of you who don't know, this is how Steve and I got connected. I randomly saw you on Facebook. Someone shared your post. And I just remember reading it, and you were getting your leg amputated, or you had just gotten amputated. And it was just like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what happened. Don't feel bad for me. Like, this is a good thing. This is a good thing that's happened to me. It's something along those lines, right?
Yep.
And I was just like, dude, my heart just dropped. I was like, fuck. Like, this guy, we're alike in this aspect. Like, look at him. Look at his perspective. Like, that's awesome as shit. He doesn't want anybody to feel sorry or be like, oh, it's pat him on the back. He just wants to fucking do better. And so I messaged you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How did that go? I forget. Like
you messaged me. You reached out and you're like, you told me you read the post, you loved it. It's like what you were about, and you shared with me about your accident and stuff, and how you'd gone through a like almost identical situation, and you're like you definitely set the example. You embody the relentless pursuit ethos, the mindset.
Yeah.
And you sent me some t-shirts and a hat, and like it was cool. I started wearing them and stuff, and then I was stoked. It was like my first sponsor, my first someone reaching out to me on social media and hooking me up with swag. And then the more I got to know you, the more I realized we were alike, and that we definitely strive for the same, different things, but we have the same mentality, the same attitude, the same. We pursue things relentlessly, things we're passionate about. We go for it,
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing is like bringing people on the team that inspire me. Like I was like, dude, I'm inspired by this guy. I want him a part of this. Like it's perfect. You know what I'm saying? You don't got 1 million followers, and I don't care about that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But you live it. You're an inspiration to a lot of people, and I love that about you, man. And I love your mindset and everything you're doing. It's really freaking cool. So yeah, that's how we got connected, man. And just I got him some stuff, and like, hey, dude, want you a part of the team, and you're a ride or die now, baby.
Yes, sir.
And this is our first time ever meeting. Yeah. Well, I've never met Steve. I knew he was from the area because we had a lot of mutual friends. And it's funny, like the barber shop I go to, Iconic Culture, my boy Landon, Brandon, all those dudes. They were like, yeah, man, I know that guy. We went to school with him. And I'm like, no shit. He went to school with my brother-in-law that's married to my,
Mount Juliet High School, Bear Pride.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Mel Brown. I got to say that.
Another one.
R.I.P. Mel Brown.
Absolutely.
Fuck, I have no idea who that is.
He was a principal for years and years.
5 words, baby.
Hell.
Imagine 5 words.
R.I.P.
His cousin is Mac Brown, the Texas head coach, or like the longtime Texas head coach, and he's like, Mel Brown's like a Hall of Famer, like for different coaching things.
It's a big deal.
I mean, he's a
Hell yeah.
What year did you graduate?
Say what?
What year did you graduate?
07.
Okay, I was 14.
Right after me. I was 08.
Yeah.
Right before me. Shit, yeah, you're about a year older than I am, huh? Crazy. But yeah, so I was like, dude, this dude's also from here. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. And we've been talking about connecting for a while now. Just hasn't really lined up. I know I'm all over the place. You're all over the place doing rad shit. You know, and so yeah, it worked out. You're like, hey man, I want to come out. What is it?
Like
This is July, ain't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out there in July. I'm like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. Let's do a podcast. Got the HQ, and so here we are, man. Yeah, we hooked up last night and like just been kicking it ever since. And now we're recording, make a good weekend of it. But, so man, really cool how it all worked out, man. I mean, for as much as I can't stand social media, just because I think a lot of the degeneracy and bullshit that's involved with it, it is very powerful and positive as well. It connects individuals like us, and it's connected me to some of the best people I've ever met in my life, friends that are there forever, you know, brothers. And so I'm grateful for that aspect. So it's really cool. So tell me about, what are you involved with now? Like, so moving forward, you know, you're working towards that big jiu-jitsu tournament, you know, you're trying to like, what are you pursuing and what kind of things you're involved with as far as like, you know, the adaptive culture and whatnot. You were kind of touching base on this last night, and I think it'd be really cool for people to hear like the things you're doing, how you're being proactive and actually helping out in that community.
So it's the adaptive community has been one of the most welcoming communities. There's a lot of people. See, my perception of like the adaptive, people with disabilities is a little different because most of the people I meet at like mobility clinics and stuff like that. But I realize there's a lot of people that aren't getting out, not doing that stuff. A lot of people have insecurities about, you know, losing a limb. And so I do volunteer work for Limb Preservation Foundation. And then I got certified through the Hanger Clinic as a peer mentor recently too. And I do peer mentoring for like people that are about to lose a limb or have just lost a limb. And then I actually like mentored a guy not too long ago that just became a paraplegic, you know?
Yeah.
And it's been really cool, like helping new amputees and stuff realize like I didn't really, I sought that stuff out, you know, but a lot of that wasn't, I didn't know there was all these different resources for people with disabilities, limb indifference, or just like almost anything, you know. So I do a lot of peer mentoring. I also I went to a mobility clinic last year, the Hanger Clinic put on in Colorado, and it was pretty cool. I met a ton of really good friends, a lot of other adaptive athletes and stuff. And this year, coming in September, I'm going to be one of the mentors, like one of the people helping out at that event. And that was when I was on the news and all my RP gear.
Hell yeah. Represent.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, there's that. I'm also going to be training at Adaptive Action Sports this winter. It's pretty cool. Amy Purdy's a pretty huge influencer on social media. She's a snowboarding like winter Paralympic medalist too, so yeah, that's another goal is to probably like my number one pursuit that I'm pursuing is getting on the adaptive race circuit this season. Hopefully the following season, get on the World Cup circuit, the adaptive World Cup circuit, and actually be, you know, going to Europe and stuff for some huge races. And that's like the next biggest thing to the Paralympics itself. And then, the next Paralympics in Italy, I'm going to be there.
Hell yeah. Making it happen. You already know.
Oh yeah. Doing border cross and bank slalom. So border cross I haven't done a border cross race yet, and I haven't even trained on it, but it's like,
I don't even know what that is.
It's like a downhill motocross track for snowboards, and you race with, there's 4 people at a time. And I mean, there's like huge, like bank turns, like berm turns, and then there's jumps, there's rollers. I'll show you some video. It's wicked. So
that sounds badass.
And bank slalom, everyone thinks slalom is just like going in between the gates or the flags, whatever everyone calls them, you know? But bank slalom, there's still gates, but it's a berm track. So it's just this like super gnarly turn, super surfy, you know?
That's sick.
That one's fun.
You're snowboarding that one?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
That's sick. So all on the snowboard.
Oh, yeah.
With one leg.
Oh, yeah.
That's sick, dude.
Dude, the guy that won, I think the border cross this year, this last year at the Paralympics, though, was a double amputee.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like Terminator. What's that?
And he won.
And he
Yeah.
won.
Oh, yeah.
That's so badass, man.
That's sick,
That
dude.
inspires the shit out of me. I mean, I'll go to my parents like Ironman races, right? Mm-hmm. You see someone laid back, like wheeling themselves. You know, that's their bike. That's how they got to do it. Or you'll even see someone pulling somebody that's, you know, disabled or whatever. But I mean, it just like people are doing killer shit out there. Even people, you know, you got amputees doing Ironman races and stuff, and like, fuck, a lot of us can't even run a mile.
I love it, dude. I do want to set like one word. Like I haven't figured it out yet, but I want to find. I want to be the first amputee to do something. I don't know what it is yet. I got to find out what it is, but I definitely want to.
We got to brainstorm.
We do. There's a lady right now training to be an astronaut, to be the first amputee astronaut, which is pretty groovy. But and then there's like people that climb Everest and all that stuff. So I got to find my Everest, my space station.
I'm gonna brainstorm for you.
All right.
I wonder if you got any that do like, because I'm getting skydive certified soon. Yeah, my boy and I are gonna go do it. And like that's always been a dream of mine. Honestly, I love skydiving. I've only done it tandem, but I'm like, dude, I want to do it by myself. And my goal is I want to get in a wingsuit.
That's
I'll do the
sick.
squirrel suit shit. You know, I want to like be able to go base jump and fly. Like, screw flying a plane. Like, I just want to do it. You know, like to me, it's the coolest shit ever. You know, make some RP wingsuits and have like the GoPro
Dude.
on. You know, like move over Red Bull. RP's coming through, baby. You know what I'm saying? But
It's literally one of the most dangerous things in the world. This man is just like, whatever.
Bet.
dude, I mean, I quit riding motorcycles, so I got to take other risks, baby. You know, it's that risk that makes you feel most alive. You know what I'm saying? That's what I try to relate to people. Something about that, like the knowing that you can die just like that makes it more exciting and fulfilling. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff and just looking down, and like a lot of people are scared of heights, and it's that initial like, oh my God, like I could fall and die, boom, you know, but then you just like get past that and you're like, oh, but this is awesome. Like, look at where I'm at. Like, boom, the possibilities are crazy, but you're there. You know what I'm saying? I think you just got to get past that initial wave of freaking out. You know what I'm saying? And you got to think, it's like we talked about earlier, death. You got to embrace it, you know, and like not look at it as such a scary negative thing because it's inevitable, you know, and like we're all close to it and we don't even know it. Like I told you about my dad having that blockage in his artery. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just last Friday. 95% LAD blockage. You know what I'm saying? He's an triathlete, healthy as shit, and started having some heart complications, you know, and like 5% more, he would have, you know, they call it the widowmaker. That could have been a done deal. Yeah, it's the main artery, you know what I'm saying? And so, oh yeah, he's good now. They put a stent in and everything, so he's good to go. But you know, you count your blessings, right? I'm like, my dad's here. Hell yeah. I mean, he could have been swimming or something, and boom. And so, but it just made me really reflect on how much, like he's not even jumping out of off a cliff doing base jumping in a squirrel suit. You know, he's just doesn't even realize he's 5% away from like having a full blockage in that artery. So we're all so close and we don't even realize it, man. And it's not even a split decision that makes that call. It could be something else. You know what I'm saying? So I think just embrace it for what it is. So, but that being said, huge segue. Maybe, I don't know if there's any amputee like freaking wingsuiters.
Dude, that would throw off your aerodynamics probably so bad.
There's got to be.
I'd imagine there, because I know there's amputee skydivers, so I'd imagine there is. I mean, that'd still be super rad to do.
That'd be dope.
That'd be super dope.
What if like your leg just goes flying off though, man? That'd suck.
That would suck.
I don't know why I laughed at that. That sounds kind of fucked up. I'm not an asshole, but no, like you're just like flying along and it's just like, oh my God, like.
I don't know what I was thinking.
But then again, it might make you do something more, man. Fly a little. I don't know, man. I don't know how it fucking works. I'm not much of into aerodynamics, you know what I'm saying? But that's just a thought that popped in my head. And the next thing you know, someone like is chilling down there hiking, and then just like a leg just lands on them. I'm like, oh fuck, dude. Like that would suck. Like talk about a shitty day.
Just imagine going it through someone's windshield.
What happened to that guy, man? He got kicked in the head, literally. Like,
Someone actually, I was watching, it was on the news in Colorado. Someone was skydiving and did lose his leg, and someone found it and turned it into like the local police station, so he got it back. Because those things are not, they're not cheap.
no, I can imagine not. Man, that's nuts, though.
Oh, man.
Man, that's crazy. You got to strap that bitch on good, you know what I'm saying? Tighten it down, because you could go flying. But, I don't know. We'll think about some possibilities, man. I mean, that's all up to you, obviously, what interests you and what would be a great pursuit. I mean, I think that's really cool. You just want to do something no amputee's done.
Yep.
You want to be the guy.
I'm going to be a trailblazer, man.
That's badass, man. I mean, I think that's extremely inspiring to me. It makes me like, what is something somebody hasn't done, like, period? I mean, there's a lot of shit, man. Everybody's done all kinds of cool stuff in this world, but at least going to go for it all. But yeah, man, we'll keep pushing, bro. As far as that goes, you know, so those are your pursuits. That's what's going on. This is Steve, you know, this is his story. This is a very inspiring individual, man, and someone like we're extremely proud to have a part of the RP team. You know, I think you're already doing great shit. Like I love watching your journey, and you're going to be doing more great shit, man, from here on out, dude. And it's just an awesome thing to be a part of and see, man. So I'm very stoked to have you as a friend, as an athlete, as a guest on here. We're going to have to make it happen again soon after you tackle some more of these things, and we'll just talk about that. And, yeah, man, is there anything you want to say, man? Anything special? Like, you know, I was going to ask, like, what's your relentless pursuit? You already stated that, you know, and that's also a pretty broad statement. But what else you got out there for people before we close on things, man?
I mean, yeah, don't make excuses. Be a good person. Inspire other people. Stay stoked.
Yeah, be a light in this world. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need. We need people like Steve that are just a light in the darkness, because there's a lot of darkness and we need to shed that out. So proud to have you, man. Everybody go check him out on social media. What's your Instagram?
It's Steve_O_Crawford.
Yeah, go follow Steve. Watch his journey. He's doing rad shit all the time. It's really cool to see. Don't forget to check out Relentless_Pursuit, RelentlessPursuitsLifestyle.com, and Relentless Pursuit headquarters on Instagram. See what we got going on. We'll be working a lot with him as well. And thank you for being here. And until next time. Dope.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bro. Get in here, man. Fuck yeah.